I wanted to start this topic or this speech with a story about quarantine, and I thought to myself, with this topic in hand, I don't think quarantine or my story or my opinion about the pandemic will really seep through the topic. I thought to myself I needed something more deep into my personal experience as a teenager. I thought, why not talk about my experience in a traditional school, right? Back in my old school, back in this big, huge, gigantic school, I didn't have the best experience of my life. I left that school for a reason. And this is why. All those years during my experience in that school, 9 years of experience in that school, I had bad influence around me. Possibly because I chose the wrong friends. I was at the wrong place at the wrong time, maybe. And back then, I was a very asthmatic person. I had really strange asthma that would just be triggered because of stress. The teacher announces, "Hey, there's a quiz tomorrow." I'd get an asthma attack. The teacher says, "Hey, there's an exam tomorrow." I get an even bigger asthma attack. Teacher calls my name. I start shaking. Teacher tells me to go in front of class. I start stuttering. And talking about the quarantine, I'll just segue back just so that I can relate to the people watching this video that when the quarantine started or when the quarantine was announced, I'm pretty sure and I'm 100% positive that most of our lives have been more of a struggle than it ever was. We may think that we were struggling way before the quarantine started, but when the quarantine actually started, and it's been more than 5 months now, life's been harder. Whether that's education or our career. This leads me to my topic in hand. Today I'll be talking about sanity. What is sanity? Sanity comes from the Latin word satinas. It refers to sadness, rationality, and the health of the human mind. That's basically the description for what sanity actually is. As opposed to insanity, which is, I'm sure we all know what it means. If you don't, it means loss of reason. You have the incapability of telling right from wrong. That's what insanity is. And as I was doing my research about this topic, I came across a theory of sanity. Alfred Karibsky, I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name, but Alfred Karibsky, Mr. Karibsky. He was, I believe, a scientist and a mathematician during the First World War in Russia. And he believed that sanity was tied to the structural fit of lack of it. Let me further explain. When we think of something and we look at our surroundings and we see what's actually going on, it's very far from what we're thinking. Let me give a more precise example. This speech that I'm giving, before I started to press the record button, I thought to myself on how exactly this speech was going to go. And as I'm watching and listening to myself right now, and as I see myself through the screen of my phone, it's not exactly how I imagine it in my head. It's actually much worse. Because in this moment, I was differentiating, or I was comparing what I thought in my head on how this situation would go and how it's actually going. You see, instead of actually practicing and rehearsing, I intentionally did not, because I wanted my head, I wanted my mind, or I wanted myself to think or to compare thoughts with reality. what happens then? You see, thoughts, the basic description is a conversation in our head. That's basically, what happens when we think. We talk to ourselves. But when it comes to reality, and whatever we thought beforehand doesn't happen in reality, something in our head clicks. And there's a word for that actually. It's called overthinking. And once we start overthinking, it can lead to so many problems. Because it's not just a conversation with ourselves in our head. Overthinking is an argument. It's a fight. It's a war. There's no peace in our heads when we overthink. And what happens when we have no peace in our minds? We feel anxious. Anxiety comes knocking the door or kicking the door down and telling you, hey, I'm here and I ain't leaving. That's what anxiety does. It makes us anxious. It makes us nauseate. It makes us nervous. It makes us scared. Because that's what anxiety does. It leads you to fear. And what happens when we're scared? When we're scared, we get sad because we're sure of the negative things that will happen to us. I'll give you an example. Say you're walking down the street. It's dark. The street lights are flickering. There are no cars around, no noise. It's completely quiet. And you start having conversation in your head, because obviously in this type of situation you start to think, hey, what might happen? I could get robbed. Someone could come out of the dark and just point a gun at me and I'd have nothing to give and I could die. Or a black van could come my way in the road very near the sidewalk, and this guy could, or this girl or this woman in the van could kidnap me. Or a wild dog with rabies maybe could come out of the bushes and attack me. That's our conversation in our head. But we're not having an argument just yet, because in that moment we're just walking and thinking of possible outcomes in that moment. And when we start thinking of these possible outcomes, we're being smart about our movement, about the way we talk, about the way we think, about the way we walk. And then something bad happens. And it's not even one of the situations or the outcomes that you previously thought of. Something completely different happened. And it's out of the ordinary. Say a house exploded. I didn't say that previously when I was thinking of examples that could go through your head when you're walking down a very dark alley or a very dark road. Say a house exploded. Just you could see it from like a mile away. A house exploded, or a building, or a shop, or a store, or a convenience store exploded right in front of your eyes. You never expected a thing. That's when you start having an argument in your head. That's when you start having a war in your head. That, hey, someone could get hurt. What am I doing? Why am I not doing anything? Why am I not dialing 911? Why am I just staring at the explosion? Someone could get hurt. Why am I not running to that explosion so that maybe I could save someone? Why am I like this? Why am I like that? Why am I not doing anything? That's anxiety. Then we get scared that we might think that someone actually have already died in that situation. It was an explosion. So first thing that comes into your head when it comes to being scared is death in that situation. Then it comes true. Since you did not do anything, a man or a woman actually died in that building, in that explosion. And since that thought that never came true to your head, that you never thought of, you become sad. You become angry with yourself. Sadness and anger, frustration and depression. Depression, it's our worst enemy, honestly. I'm a teenager, and depression, my friends have it, I had it, but depression isn't just depression. Because when you're depressed, it leads to mental incapabilities. What do I mean? Well, it's pretty self explanatory. Mental incapabilities, which means we are impaired of doing things that would be logical and rational in a certain situation. A disruption of our sanity. That's what it means. That's what mental incapabilities mean. A disruption of sanity. And if we go back to the meaning of sanity, the meaning of sanity is mental health, our rationality of our mind. And when we say that there's disruption of sanity, there's the disruption of our mental health. Our mental capability is snapped, and we're blind. That's what happens. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a philosopher, I'm none of these. My brain is quite too small to be even to have the capabilities to become that type of person. I'm a culinary student, and I'm just speaking from personal experience, because as a teenager in this century, in this generation, I was able to experience these step by step, all the time, every year, every month, every week, every day. I'm only speaking from experience and delivering that experience to you, whoever's watching this. I could be wrong with what I'm saying. I could be right. But I know that the words that I'm speaking is true to me. And I'm pretty sure that I am not the only person in the world that is going through these thoughts. And why am I saying this? Why am I talking about this? Why did I choose the topic of sanity? If you go back to my title isn't losing your sanity. It's just sanity. And sanity is our mental health, our mental rationality. If I was talking about losing your sanity, I would be insane, because I would be offending and saying that you are mentally ill. This is not about losing your sanity, because losing your sanity is an actual medical problem. This is just having the sustainability and having to break that sustainability in your head. And that's what I meant for this topic. And why am I talking about this? I just want to say, in the past I was able to overcome these problems, and here's how. As a teenager, I need to know how to overcome mental obstacles. I have to overcome my own thoughts, my own anxiety, my own negativity. But how do I do that exactly? I'll need reassurance. But how? I can't get reassurance from myself when it's myself who has these anxious thoughts. In order for me to do that, I actually need to talk to someone. Someone who's possibly older than me, someone who had the same problem as me and was able to overcome it. I'll talk to that person. Whether that be a friend, a mentor, a teacher, a pastor, someone else's parent, a neighbor. I have to find help. so that I can actually, take care of my mental health, take care of my sanity. One more thing that I did was that I didn't have to look for too much comfort. You see, there's a difference between comfort and reassurance. Comfort is just pleasure. When you're looking for comfort, you just feel comforted. That's it. Whether that's a hug from a friend, or words, carrying words from a friend or your parents or your relatives. That's what it means. But when you're talking about reassurance, it's the removal of fear. Reassurance is someone telling you that, hey, it's gonna be alright. I'm here for you. She's here for you. He's here for you. I'm here for you. We can help you get through this. That's reassurance. If a person is honest with you, telling you, hey, stop being anxious, this is how you do that. Hey, stop being sad, this is how you do that. I will tell you from my personal experience so that you can learn from me. That's reassurance. Because in all honesty, you are sane. Feel like you're mentally unstable and you feel sad, you feel anxious all the time. You're still sane. If you have these problems, you're normal. You are sane. You're just unstable. And who isn't? Everyone, especially people my age, are very unstable. Because we still got a lot to learn from people younger than us or older than us. And that's the moral of my speech. It's the moral of my talk. Is that everything's gonna be okay. No matter what you went through, go find help. Talk to people. And you can get what you really deserve, and you can get what you need. Because that's what I did and that's what I got. That is all. Thank you.